I'm Nikki Giovanni. I'm a poet. I'm 77 years old. I hope to be 78, you know. I'm just a poet. I only have words. So the words I wanted to share were thug life. Tupac was a big fan of voting. I, too, am a thug. And this poem is entitled Vote. It's not a hug, nor mistletoe at Christmas. It's not a colored egg at Easter, nor a bunny hopping across the meadow. It's a vote saying you are a citizen, though it sometimes is chocolate or sometimes vanilla. It can be female or male. It is right or left. I can agree or disagree, but, and this is an important but, I am a citizen. I should be able to vote from prison. I should be able to vote from the battlefield. I should be able to vote when I get a driver's license. I should be able to vote when I purchase a gun. I must be able to vote if I'm in the hospital, if I'm in the old folks' home, if I'm needing a ride to the polling place. I am a citizen. I must be able to vote. Folks were lynched. Folks were shot. Folks' communities were gerrymandered. Folks who believed in the Constitution were lied to, burned out, bought and sold because they agreed all men and women were created equal. Folks vote to make us free. It's not cookies nor cake, but it is the icing that is so sweet. Good for the folks, good for us. My country, 'tis of thee.
It's a song I wrote about, I guess about 12, 13 years ago, and a lot of things in this song have kind of come to pass, and I'm very honored that these fine folks took it upon themselves to learn this song. It's called The Great Decline.
I'll take some pictures now. I'm gonna hold still. I'm at a concert with here.
Superstore where the local merchants ride. Another corporate nightmare where another dream has died. And as the choices disappear, I want to change my mind. I want to go back to the days before the great decline. To a head-on collision. Well, God bless you, and God bless me, but God help the children of this century. Our leaders are all drunk on greed.
In the summer of 2020, the Inland Empire lost two longtime musicians, both born in 1950. Joe Casados and Angie G were both a part of the IE music scene for some 60 years. This week, in appreciation of Joe Casados, who was one of the area's most accomplished guitarists. Joe's family moved to Colton from Corona in 1957. Not long after that, he began his musical journey when he received his first guitar at the age of 7. He started taking lessons from local musicians, mostly in the Mexican folk guitar tradition. His father, Alberto, formed family performance groups featuring his sons Joe and Louis and his daughter Mary. While at Colton High School, brothers Joe and Louis drifted towards the rock and roll and R&B style. They did so after hearing the music of such Inland Empire bands as Donnie and the Bailangos and the Premiers. The Casados brothers found inspiration from the repertoires of these two local bands. In the mid-1960s, Joe and Louis formed the Peasants Band with fellow Colton High School classmates Duane Oliva, Mark Trevino, and Ray Perez. Since 1964, Joe had been refining his technique by taking classical guitar lessons from virtuoso Louis Chandler. This ended in 1967 when Joe began taking blues guitar lessons from one of his heroes, Freddie Walker. Freddie Walker was the guitarist for the IE group The Dynamic 4+1. Of Freddie Walker, Joe said, "The blues R&B guitar genius is seen here holding a 1960s dot fretboard Gibson 335. The reason I categorize Freddie as a genius is because of his unique fingerings and phrases. He also utilized picking nuances and popped his fingers up when executing pull-offs. His speed was stunning for any time period." After the demise of the Peasants, Joe was asked to join Inland Empire's supergroup, The Light, in late 1967. Also in the group were IE band veterans Steve Horde, Greg Eckler, Pete Sampson, and Bob Anglin. By the time Joe joined, the band had already released a single on A&M Records that was getting local radio airplay. Joe hit the local circuit with The Light, playing nightclubs and even opening for Buffalo Springfield at the Swing Auditorium. In early 1968, Joe joined the Light offshoot band, White Pepper. This group opened for Blue Cheer in February at the Swing Auditorium. In mid-1968, Joe joined the band that was one of his early inspirations, the Premiers. Joe's tenure in the Premiers was short. He left them in late 1968 to join the Soul Congregation. The group was fronted by local DJ and entrepreneur Sonny Love. Joe stayed with the band until 1969. Joe then joined another IE supergroup, Holy Smoke. In addition to Joe, the group included Steve Horde, Anthony Garcia, Glenn Ross Campbell, and Gary Brewington. In 1975, Joe was asked to join the gospel group Andre Crouch and the Disciples. He wasn't with the group long because Crouch accused him of spending more time practicing his guitar than reading the Bible. Shortly after that, the two parted company. In the late 1970s, Joe relocated to Point Hope, Alaska, to be near his wife's family. Joe would occasionally return to the IE to perform. Here's a 1991 photo of the Joe Casados band when they played in downtown San Bernardino. Joe was a respected guitarist amongst his fellow IE musicians. Sammy Hagar drummer David Lauser had this to say about Joe. "I was in my first band, Youngblood, circa 1966. We saw the Peasants and were blown away at Joe. He was the only guy who could pull off Jeff Beck's Yardbird licks. A year or two later, I was in a band called The Mobile Home. Jesse Yamas was the leader, and I befriended a young Sammy Hagar in that group. Jesse was buddies with Joe, so he showed up at my mom's house for one of our weekend jam sessions. I couldn't believe I was jamming Hey Grandma by Moby Grape with the best guitarist in the IE." Next, a tribute to Angie G.
listen to, well, Man with a Long Black Coat.
Yeah.
Atmospheric to the bone, right?
Yeah.
It's just got these sounds and
It takes a
slides.
minute to get started, but you're fine with that.
Uncorks itself and it floats through. And when the album first came out, I was wondering, why does Dylan sing that song in such angular ways?
It's a cadence.
There's a cadence. He does that. And it's unusual. It was an unusual kind of sharp angled cadence. Well, I think in this album, he had already started to rebel against the production and the heightened production of the 80s.
Because they got into it. Like, it took him a while to warm up to what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that rebellion, you kind of hear that tension in the music.
Right.
What was it what was the center of this tension that he had? I think it was the beginning of when he started to think he should be his own producer.
Sure.
So he's watching, he's like, oh, here's these techniques. I've been in studios for years. Maybe I'm the better judge, being Bob Dylan, maybe I'm the better judge of how these things should sound and where it can be limited. Even the rocker is very accessible. Everything's broken.
Right.
But most people who heard this album, my friend David Ringwald, who hit me in the nose with a truck.
Oh, my.
Like
right in the nose?
Right across here. You see this?
Oh.
That was that man did that. He was 4 years old. He started beating on me. But David
bonus.
Ringwald wrote to me, he goes, I really like Everything Is Broken. And people really, that song's got this easy flow, and he's got this
that rockabilly
thing, and they capture that. Band captures that. But and so that's sort of the easy version. But you can see some of these other ones where it almost seems a little overproduced.
Yeah. Well, looking into the history of this, and did you remember the chapter in Chronicles that he wrote basically like a whole chapter about recording this?
Okay.
So, and he says, Dylan, I guess it took him about 3 months to 4 months to get this done with like many sessions.
Yeah.
He would talk about going into the studio and just, it's constantly in the chapter. It's like, it's not working. Then stuff would work, and then they tried a different way, and then he'd get on a motorcycle and he'd go take off for a day and then clear his head. But what Lenoir had him do was they sat down like we're doing kind of here,
right,
facing each other, and Dylan didn't like that because what Dan wanted him to do was focus on his voice and then add all that other stuff later on, which is that's kind of the sound you're getting is like. If you strip it all away, and this might be a future like bootleg series where you have, like you do with all this stuff, like outtakes or whatever.
Where you find that the song sometimes sat somewhere else.
Sure.
And I think that's very specific. Again, going back to that song to where I get the feeling in some of these songs of Dylan not holding a guitar,
right,
but standing in a booth and singing and emoting and acting out the song, which for him, it's a powerful tool,
sure,
but it might not be the thing that he was comfortable with, and you kind of sense that a little bit in that.
Well, you wonder what happened too, because fun trivia, he had recorded a whole other version of this album with Ron Wood before this. Yes, this is another thing I learned about. Yes,
wow.
He recorded a whole version of this album with Ron Wood and then scrapped it for some reason because he'd done stuff with Ron Wood before.
Yeah.
He gave him, I think, 7 days.
7 days.
Gave him that song, and so that I'm like hoping too that might come up one day.
What Good Am I?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, on my favorite track, where it sounds like the song overtakes the production.
Yeah,
it's like it
transcends it.
That song could be on his album.
Oh yeah,
this year.
That's why I kind of like this too, because it's like I really like the new album.
Mm-hmm.
Really like the new album, and then hearing this is like a nice kind of companion to that.
It is,
and this sounds like it could have been made at the same time. It's crazy. It's transcending, and it's 88, 89, I believe,
something like that.
So
and so maybe he was just struggling with the form and the format that he has this kind of more natural sound. That's always a part of what he does.
Yeah,
and that song is so personal, and it's sung not angular. It's not a cadence,
right?
But it's this very, very heartfelt space that he really lives in now. If you're listening to his new album, he just kind of breathes that music now.
Where you wash your hands of all the common people at the end of another working day, burning every bridge that you are crossing. Better pray to God you're not passing back this way. You throw your weight around like a wounded beast as the humble and the silent gather round, till this tower of Babel that you are building, it topples over and it knocks you to the ground. And the soldiers that you lead into temptation in ways that even you don't understand may obey, but it will be no indication of the measure of a man. Looking through the clouds of your illusion, I am amused, but still have half a mind to tell you you can take your ways of living and you can stick them where the sun will never shine. And one day when you own all the tea in China, sitting lonely in a castle dark and cold, the memories of the ones you loved are buried in graves nearly as shallow as your soul. May you recall the wrong roads you have taken and the ones who tried to make you understand that the measure of ambition and of riches, that is no measure of a man. We've taken all you're giving. It's getting hard to make a living. Hey, Mr. President, have pity on the working man. We ain't asking you to love us. You may place yourself high above us. Hey, Mr. President, have pity on the working man. I know it may sound funny, but people everywhere running out of money. We just can't make it by ourselves. It is cold and the wind is blowing. We gotta get something out to keep us going. Mr. President, the pity on the working man. line. Maybe you finally lost your mind. Maybe you only think about yourself. Too late to run out, too late to cry now. The time has come to say goodbye now. And Mr. President, I pity on the working. Hey, Mr. President, I pity on the working. Mr. President, I pity on the working man. There will come a time when I get weary. There will come a time when I can't see. Even when I close my eyes, see what's in front of me. But there will come a time when I'm not speaking, and you can take my word